Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Melanin Margin, the weekly chat show where conversations about race are never off the table. We're your hosts, Quaviondre Williams.
And Daquon Wilson.
So let's get into this week's conversation. What's hot on the table this week?
So, in an article written by Randy Richardson on Today, we learned that multi award winning actor Bette Midler is defending a tweet many have characterized as transphobic. Monday, July 4th, the Hocus Pocus star said on Twitter that the word women is facing erasure. She tweeted, quote, "We are being stripped of our rights over our bodies, our lives, and even of our names. They don't call us women anymore. They call us birthing people or menstruators or even people with vaginas. Don't let them erase you. Every human on earth owes you," end quote. Midler's tweet was met with a firestorm of responses, in which many criticized her for not being gender inclusive. Alexandra Billings, a transgender actress and activist, said on Twitter that Midler, in particular, knows the power of language given her background in singing and songwriting. Billings tweeted, quote, "Language is in constant movement. As a singer, you know that words matter, and as we progress, their meanings change. Your tweet is hurtful and promotes the erasure of non-binary humans. You are now becoming part of the problem. Do better. Listen more," end quote. Midler responded to the criticism, stating, quote, "If anyone who read that tweet thinks I have anything but love for any marginalized people, go to Wikipedia and type in my name. I fought for marginalized people for as long as I can remember. Still, if you want to dismiss my over 60 years of proven love and concern over a tweet that accidentally angered the very people I have always supported and adored, so be it," end quote. So, Andre, I want to know, what are your thoughts on Bette Midler's initial tweet?
I just want to say this. Who the fuck is this mysterious being that's somehow stripping cis women of their title of being women? Like, please give me a name quickly.
Quickly.
Like, I'm not even going to go in on Bette Midler specifically on this one. I just want to talk about this whole they're trying to erase women narrative that's been swimming around for so long in a lot of cis het circles and some LGBTQIA circles as well. No one is erasing anyone. We're merely opening up the fucking doors for everyone the fuck else. Like, that's literally it. Like, in the words of Detox, I've had it officially. Like, adding words is not taking away the meaning of other words. It's simply an addition, not a subtraction or a replacement. All that people are saying is that in these conversations, there are people who have vaginas in a capacity for pregnancy who do not define themselves as women. If these terms do not apply to you, then don't use them to describe yourself. It's just that easy. I don't know what Bette Midler's intention was behind this tweet, but I will say that this tweet is very misinformed. Like, she could have easily tweeted simply, "We are being stripped of our rights into our bodies, and that is not okay, and we will not stand for this," or something to that effect to get the point across. Now, I don't agree that this tweet alone was Bette Midler becoming part of the problem, as Billings stated. I think that we need to be a little more careful when using that kind of accusation. There is a difference between people who intentionally choose to disrespect, degrade, and discriminate against the community and people who make an honest mistake. No one is perfect, and sometimes we get things wrong, even though we're trying our best to get it right. I think that we need to make sure that we make room for these types of errors. We also have to understand that we live in a society that is racist, homophobic, transphobic, xenophobic, misogynistic, and so on and so forth. And regardless of how much we educate ourselves or how woke we think we might be, we are bound to exhibit some subconscious biases that have been embedded in us from living in this society. And we have to continue our work to unlearn them when it's brought to our attention. I mean, this tweet was less of Bette Midler becoming part of the problem and more an example of a teachable moment for her. Sometimes our passion or our righteous anger can get in the way of us communicating our point clearly. I think that especially in this case, as a woman, Bette Midler's rights have been attacked as well as people with the capacity for pregnancy, and she's justifiably upset. However, I think that in trying to defend herself and unite people in the fight, she unintentionally excluded people who are in the same fight and have the same anger who are not women. But Daquon, before I get into how she handled her response, I want to pass it back to you. What do you think of her initial tweet?
Child. This is something that should have stayed in the drafts. Or you know what? You should have just stopped it at a certain point. People are taking away our rights. Full stop. Tweet right there. It needs to change. That's all you needed to say, but you kept on going and it took you down a place where you shouldn't have gone. But I think Bette Midler falls into this same kind of trap that, other, people in the acting field or maybe even some writers of books have fallen into in using their kind of feminist and women's rights issues as a way of being exclusionary. Like, we just have to think about the facts here. Are there women who give birth? Yes. Are there women who can't give birth? Yes. Are there non-binary people who can give birth? Yes. Are there trans men who can give birth? Yes. So when we just look at the facts of life, there are so many people who this issue affects that just saying women excludes so many other people. And we also can't forget that there's also so many people who are intersex and have so many different types of genital combinations or whatever down there that we can't just be like, oh, women have vaginas. There are women who do have vaginas. There are women who don't have them. There are women who have both a vagina and a penis. But we can't just exclude people from this entire situation. And I think that this was a prime instance of Bette Midler just, not listening. Like, this tweet started out well, and then it went downhill so fast. And what was most disappointing and what I want to get into now is the response, because it's one thing to have a tweet like this, people call you out, and then you'd be like, you know what? That was a bad take. You know what? I should have kept that in the drafts. Let me, either take it down and issue some type of response, or be like, I'm editing the tweet or I'm keeping it up to hold me accountable. What have you? Make some type of accountability post for this. What Bette Midler did was be like, I did all of these things for all of these different marginalized people in the past. So I don't know who you're coming for, but you can't be coming for me. And that's not how it works. Being an ally or an advocate, the thing that you need to do the most is listen. So if you're not listening right now, it doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It doesn't matter how many, charity galas you went to or money you raised for these organizations or, queer people you shook hands with. None of that matters if you are actively ignoring the same communities you say you are for. You say that you advocate for and adore. If you are actively harming these communities and not listening to them when they say you are harming them, none of that matters what you did in the past, because what that's telling me is you did that for some type of clout, for some type of accolade, so that you can be like, oh, go on my Wikipedia page. I have all of these different accolades and awards from these queer organizations for being such a great ally. that you don't actually care about the issues to actually listen to the contemporary issues that these marginalized communities are facing. And frankly, that is disgusting.
Yeah, I think as far as her response goes, I have to say that I am very disappointed in how she handled it. She may not have meant it this way, but just like you were saying, her response to the criticism came off as defensive and condescending rather than understanding. I mean, let's look at the first part of her response where she says, quote, "If anyone who read that tweet thinks I have anything but love for any marginalized people, go to my Wikipedia page and type my name." Instead of addressing the community that was hurt by what she said, she chose to use a general term. Once again, if you say something that hurts a specific community, speak to that community that you hurt directly. It wasn't marginalized people as a whole that you offended. It was the trans community and all the people that fall under that umbrella. So she should have addressed the trans community. Secondly, people need to stop using their history as an excuse for their present actions. Let's use a more extreme example to make this easier for some people to follow. If someone straight up murders someone else in cold blood, but they were a humanitarian who dedicated their lives to saving others, the judge isn't going to look at the past and say, "Oh, well, you saved so many people before, so I'll just excuse you for murdering this one person." No, the judge is going to look at the evidence regarding the murder and make their decision accordingly. So when people call out Bette Midler, they aren't saying that they don't know about the good work she's done for the LGBTQIA community before. They are saying that what matters right now is her understanding what she tweeted was problematic. Now, let's talk about the second part of her statement where she said, "If you want to dismiss my 60 years of proven love and concern over a tweet that accidentally angered the very people I have always supported and adored, so be it." No one is dismissing Midler's advocacy for the LGBTQIA community. So let's get that out of the way first. And I think that people are starting to confuse cancel culture with accountability culture because they are sometimes seen as interchangeable when they are not. Canceling someone means that people withdraw their support from a public figure and stop promoting them altogether. Accountability is holding someone responsible for something they did so that they don't do it again. Bette Midler is being held accountable for what she said so that she can improve and expand her mind on something that she was not fully informed about. But what disappoints me the most about this response is the fact that she doesn't even realize that the fact that the LGBTQIA community is holding her accountable is a testament to the work that she's done within the community in the first place. If somebody like Candace Owens or Ben Shapiro or Matt Walsh said this, no one would bat an eye because they have always been clear that they are opposed to the LGBTQI community. They wouldn't trend for their commentary because this type of rhetoric is expected from people like them. However, Bette Midler has always vocalized her support for the community. So when the LGBTQIA community calls her out on what she said, it's not because we hate her or because we are trying to take her down. It's because we are hurt by what she said and we are trying to educate her on how to better advocate for us. It is difficult to hear that you've hurt someone that you love, especially when it was not your intention. But even if you don't understand why they are hurt, recognize that what you did or said has caused them pain. Marginalized communities are aware that allies aren't perfect. So when we tell you that you have made a mistake, listen with an open heart, apologize, make a commitment not to do it again, and then move forward. But Daquon, I'm interested to hear your take on this. Like, do you think that simply defending a community excludes you from being critiqued by the same community?
Absolutely not. Because You know what this statement was really giving is gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. Because you are literally, Bette Midler was literally gaslighting people. It was like, oh, if you read it that way, that's on you. So be it. But doing work does not negate your future. What you do in the past does not negate what you're going to do in the future.
Yeah.
It's something that's so, simple. Like, even in grade school, if we don't turn in an assignment in the past, that doesn't mean every single assignment in the future is going to be a zero. If we don't do our homework in the past, that doesn't mean that we can't do our homework in the future. Or if we've consistently done our homework in the past and we miss a day, like, okay,
Daquon,
do your homework again. Like, what I'm failing to realize is, like, just because you did your homework in the past doesn't mean that this assignment is done. That's not going to magically
no,
create your.
Daquan, say that again, bitch. Say that again right there. That's the word of the day right there.
Just because you've done your homework in the past doesn't mean that the assignment is magically done now. It's not going to write answers on that paper. It's not going to, sign your name and add a grade in the grade book. Like, I don't understand this line of reasoning other than simply gaslighting people, literally gaslighting people, being like, I don't understand how somebody can read my tweets, somebody that's always advocated for people as, being transphobic. I've always loved trans people. I've shooken so many trans people's hands in the past. I've given them pats on the back. I even went to dinner with a trans person once. Okay, and that
It's
doesn't
giving very
matter
much.
to me.
Daquan, you know what it's giving? It's giving very much so. I'm not racist. My best friend is black. What are you talking about?
I mean, those are both two sides of the very same coin. So back to the question though, like, simply defending a community in the past does not exclude you of being critiqued. In fact, if you are a defender of that community, you should be open to critiques.
Exactly.
You should be open to how the community's issues and needs change over time.
Yes.
What was once a priority in the past is not going to necessarily be a priority in the future. And I think this is a prime instance of it. In the past, in those 60 years Bette Midler is talking about, there are trans people who just wanted to be seen as people. There are trans people who just didn't want to be killed for simply existing. And now when we've progressed a little bit, that's a conversation for another day. But seeing that we've even progressed a bit, those needs are going to change now. If we take a step forward, you need to deal with the needs of that new step that we're on. And that's going to look different. That's going to be, okay, we have rights now. Let's make sure we are tightening our language to make sure we're more inclusive. We may have rights now, but let's make sure that we are continue to push the envelope to make sure that these rights cannot be stripped away. And so defending a community once does not absolve you from any type of, problematic things you may do in the future.
And I think that we've talked about this a little bit before in our Apology Plus Action episode. You can go check it out. But, when it comes to making a mistake, we, like I said before, we're not perfect people. We are, once again, I think Amanda Seale said this on The Real, but she's like, you can only be woke so long before you go to sleep. And it's like, and that's what it really kind of gives in life is that, I consider myself an advocate for Black women and the LGBTQI community because I'm a part of it, the trans community, all that stuff. And for Indigenous people, BIPOC people, the whole thing. But again, there are certain experiences that I don't have firsthand account on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am not a Black woman. I have not had that experience. I am not a person with a vagina. You know what I'm saying? So there are certain experiences that I don't walk in that I have to be open to hearing criticism from. So if I fuck up and I say something or do something that is not promoting or uplifting that community, and somebody in that community says, hey bitch, don't do that, that's not helping the situation, that's contributed to the problem, it's like, oh, say less, I won't do that again, I am sorry, let's move forward. I think that so many people get caught up on that idea of, oh my God, you know, I've done all this work, what do they mean I'm wrong, what do they mean I've done something bad? Girl, you are gonna fuck up, it's okay, we are human, we're gonna fuck up. But it's about how you respond to that fuck up that shows the kind of person you are.